What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon to be notified every time I put out a new video on my channel. Guitarist Eddie Van Halen would play a crucial role in pop star Michael Jackson's hit song Beat It from his sixth album Thriller. The guitarist was taken by surprise when Thriller came out in 1982, and his name was nowhere to be found. Not only that, but Eddie wasn't the original guitarist who was asked to play on the song. You're probably wondering, what's the full story? Stay tuned to find out. The Who's guitarist Pete Townshend would claim that he was originally asked to play on the song Beat It, but was unable to do so, and instead recommended his friend Eddie Van Halen, telling Rolling Stone, "I was once asked by Michael Jackson to play electric guitar on the Thriller album. I said I couldn't do it, but recommended Eddie, who called and we chatted. He was utterly charming, happy about the connection, but he told me how much he was enjoying playing keyboards. His smile was just classic. A man in his rightful place, so happy to be doing what he did," he'd say. Eddie Van Halen was personally called by Thriller's producer Quincy Jones to help out with the song. Eddie admitted in a 2012 interview with CNN that he didn't know a person named Quincy and thought the phone call was a practical joke, saying, "I went off on him. I went, 'What do you want? You effing so-and-so.' And he goes, 'Is this Eddie?' I said, 'Yeah. What the hell do you want?' 'This is Quincy.' I'm thinking to myself, I don't know anyone named Quincy." He goes, "Quincy Jones, man." I went, "Oh, sorry." Eddie would agree to do the track, but was also skeptical about how much he had in common with Jackson, considering they played different styles of music. But in reality, Michael Jackson had written Beat It to be a rock song, and it was helped in large part thanks to Toto guitarist Steve Lukather, who also played on the track. Van Halen had a break in their working schedule, and according to Eddie, he did the session for free, and it only took about 20 minutes, and his part amounted to about 20 to 30 seconds of guitar soloing on the track. Quincy Jones wanted the guitarist to improvise, recalling in a BBC documentary, "I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you what to play. The reason you are here is because of what you do play." And Eddie would play the solo, and according to engineers in the studio, it was during that session that one of the speakers caught on fire. And one of the engineers in the room would exclaim, "This must be really good." And right before Eddie's guitar solo begins, a noise can be heard on the track that sounds like someone knocking at the door. It was originally reported the knock was a person walking into Eddie's recording studio. A different story, though, claimed the sound was simply the musician knocking on his own guitar. But the sound, however, in fact, is Michael Jackson knocking on a drum case, as he is credited in the album's liner notes. Eddie would tell CNN he listened back to the track and rearranged the entire song while Jackson was out of the studio. But the pop star had no issue with the new arrangement, as he would say here.
Yeah. But like one of those things you sort of dream of as a rock star.
It's funny because at the time I had played on Beat It, on Michael Jackson's record, and his album went to #1, and our album was #2. Our single was #1, his single was #2. Then he did that Pepsi commercial, he burned his hair, and he stayed at #1.
Selfish, man.
To this day, you know, the guys in the band still blame me for that album not going to #1.
It's your fault.
The funniest thing of all was I actually rearranged the song. The section they wanted me to solo over, it was just, you know, there's no chord changes underneath it. So I had to rearrange the song. And then Michael came in and I said, "Oh, I hope you don't mind, I changed your song." And he listens and he goes, "No, I really like that high-fast stuff you do." And that was it. You know, it took about 20 minutes out of
Eddie would also claim in the same interview that Jackson's band was very insular and that they rarely asked for outside help from musicians on records. Eddie was not credited on the album, he didn't get paid, and he wasn't even in the music video, but he did make several live appearances with Jackson. In fact, Eddie would tell Piers Morgan in 2012 that he was naive about the album and whether anybody would hear it, saying, "Who's going to know if I play on this black kid's record?" And Eddie was probably right to be a little naive, considering this was 1982, and MTV wasn't playing a lot of black artists. In fact, I'll be doing another story in the future about how Michael Jackson became a huge fight for MTV and how the King of Pop literally saved the network. But that's a story for another time. Following the release of Thriller, Eddie recalled being at Tower Records and hearing the song played in the store, and how some people were critical of the guitar playing on the track, claiming, "The solo comes on and I hear these kids in front of me going, 'Listen to this guy,' trying to sound like Eddie Van Halen. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, 'That is me.' And that was hilarious," he'd recall. And Beat It would be released as the third single from Thriller on February 14th, 1983, following the singles The Girl Is Mine and Billie Jean. It soon became a #1 hit for 3 consecutive weeks and would go on to become one of the best-selling singles of all time, while Thriller, the album, would go on to become one of the most successful records of all time. Following Jackson's death in 2009, the Guitarist paid tribute to the King of Pop, putting out a statement via the Van Halen news desk saying, "I have a lot of respect for Michael. He's going to be sorely missed. I'd be curious as to what he'd be doing right now," he'd say. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. If you guys have suggestions for future topics, let me know in the comment section below. Take care.